Hey, it's Jill with Close to My Heart, and today we are going to make a really fun single page layout using Freshly Baked. This is a process video where you're going to get to watch the entire process come together of how I'm going to use my different photos and tell a really fun story using this adorable paper collection. So be sure that you are subscribed to the Close to My Heart YouTube channel so that you don't ever miss any of these videos. And you'll want to subscribe and then ring the bell so that you're notified anytime we post a video. And if you like this video, be sure to like it after watching our fun process. So let's take a look at what product I'm going to be using today. So I grabbed the Freshly Baked collection. This is an adorable collection that is perfect for those holiday memories. And I'm going to show you just a few unique ways that you can use this outside of the actual like Christmas cookie recipe kind of look and feel, because there are lots of options for it. Obviously, this is a great theme, and we probably all have plenty of pictures of baking those cookies for Santa or, you know, neighbor gifts and things, just some of that fun holiday baking. The sticker sheet lends itself so beautifully for those kind of memories and those stories, and lots of icons that help you do that. Then we have this really, really fun pattern paper that's got all of your baking elements happening on one side and your adorable milk and cookies on the back. So this is one sheet, and you've got multiple ways that you can use that for the really strong Christmas cookie theme. So then I want to show you how versatile some of these other papers can be for any theme that you might be wanting to use. So look at this really thick, beautiful colored stripe. I love this one. I'm for sure using that. So I'm going to go ahead and set one of those sheets aside for my project. And on the back side of this is a really cool print, and it's got a recipe printed right on the paper, and it's actually a real recipe. So if you wanted to follow along and bake some cookies, you could look right here on the pattern paper. But I love that you could use this as just a really subtle textural paper, and you don't have to necessarily pay attention to what it says. It just gives you a really nice base. All right, then we've got some really fun polka dots. They kind of feel like sprinkles or just any kind of dot that you might want to use. And the back side of this is a grid. Now this looks like a fun cookie cooling rack. So that's kind of what we're going for with this paper, but it also looks like just your perfect grid paper that you could use for so many things, kind of like you would just a neutral ledger paper. I love this for so many different reasons, and I want to use both sides of this, so I'm going to go ahead and set aside both pieces. Then we've got some coordinating cardstock that all works with this kit, and you can see the different colors that we have here. The ones I think I want to use, because I'm going a little less traditional, but still showing some really fun baking memories. I think I want to go ahead and keep these glacier pieces. Well, I know I want glacier, I think, as a base page. I might use some of this toffee, and we've got some white daisy as well, or French vanilla, that we'll use. So I think I'm going to work with these papers right here. I think this is going to give me a really nice feel, and you can see that with this right here, you can make this go so many different directions. What I want to do today is use some photos that I have that are from the holidays, but they are not necessarily baking cookies. So I've got some photos here that I've already printed that I want to use. This is a few years ago, and we are pulling taffy. I don't know if you've ever done this, but it was a tradition at our house when we were growing up to pull taffy. And it's vinegar taffy, and you pull it while it's warm until it gets nice and tight, and then you break it and it dries or cools hardened, and then you break it into pieces and eat it. It's so delicious, and it was such a fun memory of my childhood that when we went back to my parents' house for a Christmas, then we did that with my kids, and so that was fun to kind of see those memories come full circle. So yes, it was holiday time. And yes, we were in the kitchen, but we weren't necessarily making cookies. And I think that that's totally fine and a fun way to tell these stories of some of the other things you might do during the holidays that aren't specifically cookie baking. And this kit will work beautifully for that. So I know that these are the photos I want to use. And so I've got those printed, and I did them small because I kind of have an idea of something that I want to have happen on this page. So I'm going to set these papers aside. I've got these cardstocks, and I'm pretty sure by looking at the papers that I'm working with, I typically love a good white base, but I kind of want to use the Glacier, and I'm going to use the lighter side. I think it's still light and airy, and I want to have my photos going through the center, and then I want a spot for the recipe, and I've cut these photos smaller so that they could go maybe in a flip flap or something. I've got all these photos. So I liked the idea of using this center area for my photos, and then I'm going to kind of build the design from there. So let's get started in the actual process of putting this together.
Okay, as we get going, I am starting by just cutting down 3 1/4 by 4 1/4 mats for my photos, and then a 3 by 4 spot for my journaling. I have just kind of an idea. I know I want to use a flip flap on this page, and so I'm giving myself some space for that journaling and getting all of my pictures put in place. So then I'm grabbing the base page and figuring out what papers I feel like work the best with the kit that I'm working with, as well as the photos that I have. So I am using all of the polka dots and stripes, because you can't go wrong with polka dots and stripes, right? So I'm starting by giving myself a 2-inch strip of the big bold stripe at the top and the bottom, and then I want to use the polka dot side, but I like both the grid, the really small grid on the back, as well as the polka dot. So here I'm just tearing it in half. I cut another 2-inch strip and I'm tearing those in half, and then by doing so, I can use the front and the back side, getting a little bit of the polka dot and a little bit of the strip, or the plaid. So then I'm trimming off just a little bit of that stripe so that I have a nice tear. This is giving me a top and a bottom kind of band on the page that's really going to pull the focus into the center where the photos are, but then the texture comes in from the tearing. So here you can see I'm starting to spritz with just water on my paper, just a tiny bit of water, because then as I tear and rough and roll the edges of this pattern paper, I can get just even more dimension. And I love that that red color on the back of the stripe paper. And so by rolling that, I can get a little bit of that showing as well. So tearing gives you texture, then by rolling it, you get even more texture. So it's just kind of a different look and a way you can achieve some texture from just simple strips of paper. So just a tiny spritz of water, and that will loosen the fibers of the paper and let them kind of roll as you tear them. So that's giving me just enough distress and just enough visual interest for something as simple as just some strips of paper across the top and bottom. So then I'm coming back to the layout, and I'm going to start by putting those pieces on. And I put adhesive across the top so that I can still tuck things underneath. So now it's adhered, but I also have flexibility in moving things around and kind of playing around. So you can see I'm trying to decide if I like the plaid or the polka dot in what order, and so I kind of commit to that. And once I do, then I can glue that stripe paper down even more to hold everything in place. So I do that with a lot of my pages. Just as I'm figuring things out and kind of fussing with things, I use just a little adhesive so that I have the flexibility of moving and tucking, and then I'll come back in and secure everything. So I'm really liking how that's giving me a top and bottom border, some really fun color, texture, and detail, but then everything is going to happen in the center of the page with these photos. So now I'm looking at how I want to place these photos, and my son is looking out one direction, and so I want to keep that photo on the far right side so that he's looking into the left of the layout. So I'm also showing you a stamp set that is a part of this Freshly Baked, and it's the scrapbooking set. It has lots of fun details and cookies. It has this die cut that is made to be your cooling rack, but I went ahead and cut it as a piece just out of White Daisy cardstock, and I'm using it as a stencil. So you could easily use that die cut and put it on the page and leave it as a paper piece on the page. But I'm taking it and using it as a stencil so that I get some just soft textural detail happening behind my photos. So you can always look at your die cuts for opportunities like that you can use them to make a stencil out of or use as negative space. So you can see there that I'm getting a really nice look on just some tone on tone detail by just easily taking a blender brush and going over that stencil area from the die cut. And I try to give myself just a little bit of tape to hold it down, but I didn't give myself quite enough. And so every time I ran over it, it wiggled on me, but it was no problem. I just realigned it. And I wasn't going for perfection. I just wanted some texture happening behind. So now you can see how that looks. And I'm just erasing where my photos were going so that I can now attach them with some foam tape. And that's going to help pop them up and give them some extra detail on the page. So I'm going to just measure so that they're nice and centered and even across the page. And I've got the one on the far right, then I'm going to put one in the center. And then on that left side, I'm going to work with those small photos. And I know I want to put a flip flap on to do some journaling, as well as the recipe for this taffy. I think that's one of the really fun things about this collection is that you can document some of these things that you might have as family tradition. Recipes and things are such a special thing that you definitely want to keep and pass on to other generations. So putting them in your scrapbook is an awesome way to preserve those. So I went ahead and took the recipe sticker off, and then I used that cute yellow polka dot zip strip from the paper to give me a little detail on that piece. So then I'm trying to decide, I'm going to have a flip flap, so do I want a small photo on each part of the flap when you open it, or do I want both photos at the bottom on that bottom piece? And I decide on that. So my two horizontal photos go on that 3x4 piece. So then I'm adding the flip flap so that the recipe is on the front, and then my journaling will go on the inside of that flap. So now I'm going to work on the title, and I'm looking at all the ones on the sticker because there's lots of really fun options. The memories is perfect because we were making memories, and the color of it is perfect for what's happening in these papers. But I also didn't want baking memories because we weren't baking, so I'm looking at the options from the sticker. This is where I know I can always pull in a stamp set or some accessory or something that has words that can help, but I'm really trying to just stick to the sticker sheet. So I've got memories, and then I start playing around because I don't know exactly what I'm doing title-wise, but I take a little piece of that notebook and just tuck it, then a little spatula, and I'm just kind of building around my title piece. You can also see I'm nestling the MEM portion over my daughter's head, and that helps to just kind of ground it all and pull it down to the photo. I love using this little hot pad, but I didn't want it to get wrinkled when you open the flip flap, so I just cut the sticker and tucked it behind the photo. And a little spatula, and you can see that that's creating a really nice linear detail from connecting all the photos and the title together. So then I see the little word sticker that says yummy, and that is perfect for my title. So I'm going ahead and I looked at just how I want to matte that. It was that soft glacier color, so tone on tone, it just didn't quite pop, but matting it on a little bit of that cardstock is really making it tie in to the color in the memories sticker as well as pop off that glacier background. So now I'm just looking at other stickers, and that cute little, again, it's a cookie, and that's fine. There's no cookies on my layout, but it's just almost like a cute circular scallop detail with a little heart, but it can totally translate as a cookie or anything you need it to. Then I'm just taking some of those fun words. I love when we have little words like this in sticker sheets because you can do so much with them. So here I am just adding some of those little strip stickers. They are a great way to add detail, and I had all that open space on that photo on the right, and so it was perfect to kind of fill some of that space with the stickers. So I'm just looking to see if there's any others that I want to use, but I feel really good about what I've got going on. And then I decide to grab some of the adorable accessory for this kit. They are these little gems. Some of them are matte, some of them are glitter, some of them are hearts, some of them are stars. They are the perfect eclectic mix. They're definitely something I would get extra of so that I could use even when I'm not working with this specific collection. It is so cute. So just scattering those around the page, and that is giving me a little bit of texture, a little bit of sparkle and shine, and just kind of finishing it off. But the page came together so easily. It's a great pattern that you can follow to just keep those photos right through the center of the page and add your detail in the strips at the top and bottom and keep everything kind of linear. So that's how it came together. We have pictures of it with journaling and all the recipe is there, so you'll want to check that out. But be sure to see all of our YouTube videos and check out anything you want to learn, from our process videos to our techniques that we share. We just love being able to share what you can do with your scrapbooks and documenting your memories.